Hi and welcome again to this edition of BounceBack, helping you reflect, review and plan to bounce back into the coaching world as and when we are able. I hope you're staying safe and I hope you're managing to spend the hour a day working a little bit on reviewing and reflecting where you are as a coach and also planning to be ready to get back into business as soon as we can. Today we're going to have a look at marketing. Doing this in two phases, so part one today, part one tomorrow. Today is looking a little bit more at the theory of marketing and understanding the background to it. And tomorrow is more practical and looking at how you can actually implement this and put it into practice. So first of all, what is marketing? Two definitions here. The management process responsible for identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer requirements profitably. Or the one I actually prefer, very simply, marketing is what makes the sales team obsolete. What that means basically is if you do your marketing properly, people will want to come and buy from you, and you then don't have to try and sell as well as market. A marketing strategy in simple terms is made up of two different elements. We have the things you can control and the things that you can't control. And to help you understand these things, we need to be able to know what you can control. In essence, you can obviously control the quality of the product that you're delivering, your coaching methods, your methodology, content, and the class with which you deliver, the price of your program, the program itself, and the calendar of events throughout the year. All these things are within your control. You get to choose these, you get to implement them as and when and how you want to. The things you can't control: technology, which is changing every day. Whichever phone you've got, you'll know it's already out of date. So that's something that we can't control. Culture, we have no control over the culture of the country that we're working in. The politics, at this moment in time, the best example ever. We have no control whatsoever over the current situation. And that is something that will continue for a long time to come. We have no control over the economy and the impact that that's going to have on our business. We are still yet to know. And the demographics, the movement of society around the world and around the country and the area in which you live. These things we have no control over. And as such, although we need to bear them in mind, we shouldn't really plan anything around these situations because it can and does constantly change. The marketing mix is made up of four basic things: the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. And they are called the marketing mix. Obviously, very simple. There are deeper mixes than this. You can go into 6, 7, even 8 different categories. But at the level we're working, it doesn't have to get too complex. It doesn't have to get too complicated. We can keep it as simple as this, and we will still come up with a very good and effective marketing plan. So what is the product? In our terms, product is our coaching, it's the tournaments, it's competition, it's our membership. But it's not just those things. What else are we actually selling? We're selling a healthy lifestyle. We're selling activity. We're selling the social life of sport and of tennis. So it's not just the physical things that you see in black and white in terms of your program and those products, but it's the other things. Why do people actually come to you for lessons? What is the reason people actually play tennis? And that then develops your actual product. So think a little bit more outside the box than just thinking, yeah, I've got a junior program, an adult program, I run a tournament on a Saturday, I've got my adult club night on a Thursday. Look at the product as a whole and the elements within the product. Why are people taking that course? Why are people coming to play in that event? And we'll look a little bit more in detail in that tomorrow. Price. How do you work out how much to charge? It's a question we're commonly asked. And I think there's some things you can look at. What do your competitors charge? What are the comparisons? So don't just look at what your competitors charge, but why are they charging that? Are you more or less experienced than that? Are you more or less qualified than that? Are you working in a better facility or not? And start gauging the things that will help your competitors set their price to base your prices around that. Also look at your costs. Do you actually know how much you spend every year on tennis balls, on your equipment, on all your clothing, your shoes, your restrings? All these things have to be counted in when you're working out the price. If you don't know what your costs are, you can never work out whether you're going to make any profit. You can't run a business just with your fingers crossed. So sit down, work out your costs. If you've been in business for a while, you should be able to have those numbers. Look at those numbers. What is your level of profit compared to your expenditure? How can you increase that? Can you increase your fees, or are you going to have to look at how to cut your costs, and how can you do that? And also look at the level of people and what they pay in your area. So what kind of restaurants, what kind of pubs, what kind of shops are in your area? That will give you an idea of the spending power and the income levels of the area that you're working in. And this will also be an indicator of how much you can and can't charge for your lessons. The place that you're working in will also influence this. So what kind of club are you in? What kind of facility is it? Are you working in a park? Are you coaching in a school? Are you in a leisure centre, or is it a private court? Whereabouts are you working? How far do you have to travel to those places? Are you including your travelling costs and your time in your pricing? So where are you working? How long do you stay there? Do you have to move from different clubs to be able to generate an income? Consider all these different things when we're putting the whole thing together. The promotional side, advertising. Again, now advertising, we can do so much through social media. If you've got your database of the people at the club, you should be able to contact club members. You should be able to contact the people you're already coaching and build up that database. Put that into WhatsApp groups and use those to help promote and stay in contact and communicate with people. And obviously social media through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, easy ways now of contacting people. But just make sure if you're spending any money, you spend it wisely. So if you are going to spend money on advertising, make sure you have some way of tracking if that money is generating business. You might like to see your name in lights all the time, but if you're not making money from that, really what's the point? So have a look at how you're going to advertise and start thinking about how you're going to monitor any costs that you may incur through the advertising. You can offer discounts, and I think that this is going to be something that's going to be very prevalent when industry gets back to some kind of normality. When this crisis is finished, there will be all sorts of marketing and promotions going on when we get back into real life. And it's something you need to consider now. How are you going to implement these in your own program when you can actually start coaching again? I'm pretty sure that when we start, we're maybe only going to be able to do individual lessons. I think groups will be the next stage down, and then they will start small, and maybe we'll eventually be able to build those back up again. But we have to start considering the different scenarios. They discuss every day the modelling that's in place, and I don't think it would do you any harm to do something similar within your own network and your own business. Start thinking what is going to happen, look at the different possibilities, and then start marketing, putting your marketing planning around those things. Are you going to be able to do some free gifts, some special offers, just to get people back on the court in the first place? Marketing needs to be specific. And to be specific, you have to be able to segment your market. So you have to be able to identify the different elements within your market so you can market to each one specifically. This means you can split the market into smaller groups and therefore your marketing can be more aimed at those individual groups. But the groups must be big enough to go after. So you could actually split and finish up with lots of tiny little groups, but then each one's too small to actually market to. In a way, tennis has helped us because we have the mini red, the orange, the green, and then we move on to the yellow ball, and they make very easy market segmentation for us. So look at that, look at your existing program. How do you split your adults? If you've got different times of day, the competitive side, the social side, the different elements that make up tennis players at your facility. And then have a look at how can you segment those into different areas. But remember that the market has to be big enough for you to aim at it, to actually make some kind of income from it. So that just gives you a little bit of background on marketing. As I said, tomorrow we'll actually go into a bit more depth then in how we apply this in the tennis world. But for today, please spend just an hour looking through your existing program, considering these 4 Ps, how you think you're going to be able to come back into the market. Maybe do a little bit of modeling yourself on how you see things phasing back in over time. So again, when we're ready, you're in a position to bounce back with your strategy and your marketing in place from day one, which I think is really important. So again, as ever, please take a little bit of time, review, reflect and plan, but also please stay safe. Cheers.